Hello everyone, my name is Nikki and I'm a volunteer at Gouves Animal Shelter for the past almost 11 years now. And I'm not so much in the shelter every day because I have also my job, but I try as much as possible to help arrange whatever is needed so the animals and the people there have their needs met.
Hi, I'm Nora. I have been involved with the shelter since 2013 and I mostly do online stuff. I am the reason why the magazine is late all the time. I help replying to the messages and I do most of our social media part. So anything related to marketing or to online stuff, I handle that. No one wants to hear about us. Let's get to the questions that you actually had.
Yes.
We have a first easy one. Where can we donate to the shelter apart from at the shelter or pet shop candy?
Well, you can donate to us either from afar. We have an official bank account. We also have an official PayPal. Those two are linked. So these are all, when I say official, I mean that we, of course, give to the state every year what we had as an income and where all the money went. So everything is regulated and open for the government to check. Also, you can donate directly to one of the cooperative vets because this is also very useful, so they can have the money quicker sometimes. And I think those are the ways. And from people that come from Netherlands, we can also offer tiki.
Yes, and with the vets you can of course get a receipt for that as well, so everything is official. And the only thing about bank transfers is that each transfer takes €3 to process. So if you donate €1 to the bank account, we lose €2. So we prefer PayPal or Tiki in those situations, but for bigger donations it's fine.
Yes.
What is the Greek government doing at a large scale to better current levels of animal welfare?
Well, let's say not that much. In the past few years, there have been some efforts on behalf of the government. We have not seen yet results, to be honest. More, I would say, some legal actions. For example, better protection legally of abuse of the animals regarding abuse and bigger fines. Things like that have changed, but they're not enforced yet, unfortunately. Lately, we had the news that the Greek police will start a department just for animals, starting from Crete, because Crete, the island we are on, has one of the most major issues regarding abuse and abandonment, unfortunately. And also, yes, some more efforts to educate the people, and let's see where that leads.
How can we help you from other countries, promotion, endorsements, financially, and so on?
Well, the main thing a shelter always needs is, of course, financial support, to be honest, because everything we need to purchase, everything we have. So people from abroad can help either financially or, to be honest, they can even help by providing some online help thankfully, in this digitalized era we live in, people don't have to be here to help. So maybe with some content or online things. Also by sharing also brings a lot of homes to animals, awareness, someone that might help in a different way we have not thought about yet. I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, I think from people abroad, the easiest way is to help through online stuff. So it can be editing videos, replying messages, helping us edit content, which is a huge thing. But it can also be individual help, like for example, if half of our followers would try to find a sponsor for one dog, that would already help a lot. And same as we have the new Stray Free Crete project coming, we really could use an active group promoting it and finding new people to kind of bring together the effort and to take it forwards. So any endorsement, any financial help, those are the biggest issues always. Unfortunately, we hope it wouldn't be like that, but money makes the difference. So it determines how many we can castrate, how many we can feed, how many we can help at the vets. So it really does have a huge impact. And as Nikki already said, we have open financing, so the government can see everything. There's nothing hiding, everything goes to the care of the animals, so it goes directly to them.
Also, I would like to say, like, for example, someone might not be so keen in the idea of supporting a shelter, but you could support other actions that we have. For example, the TNR program, which is the trap, neuter, and release, especially regarding cats. So most of the cats that we catch from the streets, we return them to their area. Of course, if they are injured, they are treated, whatever is needed. But this is another project, like, that we really are fond of, and we think it's a very big step forward to change the situation. Sterilization and education are probably the two most important things to go forward. So yeah.
Yeah, and while we will never leave an individual behind, and we will always care for the individual and the last individual. But we really want to make a long-lasting change and a bigger change. So that's where we are putting most of our efforts now. It also means we have been a bit more quiet in the sense of news and stuff like that, because it is quite hard to run the shelter and run a huge project at the beginning stages with just handful of people. So our resources are very limited at the moment. But again, any help, that's awesome, and our end goal is to remove the stray issue completely in a humane way, and
Definitely.
yes, and to help change the society in a way, to make sure that that problem doesn't arise again.
Yes, that's the dream. To, especially for me as a Greek person, I'm always humbled by the help from foreigners, meaning people that don't come from the country. So for me, the dream would be my country to reach a level where we don't have strays anymore, or at least they are very, very few and dealt with easily and rehomed easily. At this point right now, the situation, we are at millions of street animals all over Greece. Is there an education program across local schools around the importance of animal welfare? Maybe I should reply myself.
Yeah, you should.
Yes. Unfortunately, not from the government directly. There are many animal welfare organizations that are trying to create these kind of programs, and they are also visiting schools upon invitation, though. So it's not something standard. Since last year, there is a date, the 4th of April, which is globally dedicated to street animals. So the Ministry of Education decided that teachers at schools should be doing something on that day about that issue, stray animals, not just animals in general. So we have had a lot of visits at the shelter regarding that, and we have been called in many schools to talk. So this is a good step forward. But to be honest, if it's not constant, all year round to change the way people think, we don't think, like, all the children, when you meet them and you have a dog or a cat with you, they will love it. But the feedback they have from their families is that it's okay to keep it in a balcony, it's okay to keep it on a chain, it's okay to keep it on the terrace. All these things need to completely change, and things need to start, the new generation needs to start seeing that when I see a cat or a dog at the streets, that's not normal. For all these kids in Greece, that's something normal because it's everywhere. So they think it's okay, the cats live out of the bins. Well, they should learn that's not okay.
And of course, it's not every Greek. There are a lot of people who care,
Yes.
a lot of people who are extremely dedicated to their pets, a lot of people who take very good care of them. But even one that doesn't, especially if it's a majority, or if the result is the crisis that they do have in Crete, for example, it's a huge problem. And we have that as a part of our Stray Free Crete project as well. So more outreach to schools, also a little bit more awareness of why, how it benefits when you do take care of your animals, what kind of benefits they bring to the society. If you look at countries where pet ownership is in a little bit different, not level but mindset, the benefits that it creates for elderly or depressed people, or basically any group, are huge, and the impact is very difficult to measure. So we hope that we could move the society more into that side, that they can see the benefits and they can really form a family and not just a
Yes.
dog
Yes.
or a cat.
Yes. Or a bunny.
Do the police and judges implement punishment and fares for animal abusers, or do they still close their eyes?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, there have been some steps, but the problem now is that the fines are sometimes so hard. So for a society that thinks still that keeping a dog permanently with the chicken, and that's okay because that's what they learned from the previous generation, going from that to finding them like 100,000 euros, it's a bit crazy. So the judges at the moment are trying not to actually enforce the fines because they are out of proportion. So that's why we need probably the police to start educating people, giving second chances, not to abuse or murder, of course, we don't mean that, but to situation where things can change. Because we have seen with our eyes, I know it's difficult to believe, that people that truly care about their animals but think because it's a big dog, it needs to live only in the garden, probably on a chain so it doesn't escape. They think it's something safe for the animal. But they do care, they do go to the vet, for example, they do give good food, they just don't understand exactly how to do it. So we cannot just start putting people in prison for everything. Of course, people who kill or put poison, they should dealt much differently.
Cruelty is different than ignorance.
Yes, exactly. So let's see. We are hopeful because the new police department was announced just 1 month ago. So we are hoping we as volunteers, we will have, the support from the police to do things we couldn't in the past, because as a simple volunteer, I cannot really talk people out of a situation. But when the police is involved, it's a bit different. Okay, next question. How did the shelter get its start? No, you can answer that. You have been around the shelter longer than I have been.
Well, there was a man. You can tell Manolis's story better. I can tell it from the
Outsider.
yeah, from when I joined in.
Well, Mr. Manolis Patharakis is the founder of the shelter. He started back in 2007, I think. And he needed a place to start rescuing animals because he could see the problem was getting bigger and bigger. At that time, the ex-American military base in Gouves was abandoned already for several years, and the mayor at the time appointed the place where the ex-American soldiers would keep their trained work dogs. There were initially just 4 kennels in that space that could be used as a mini shelter, and this is how he started, with 3-4 dogs that became 15, that became 30, that became 100, and then 180. So basically the shelter started expanding a little bit, but not as much. It's still a very small shelter considering the amount of animals it has, and unfortunately the needs have not dropped. Like, unfortunately, in the 11 years I'm there, and I don't know how many we have not seen a drop in need to take in dogs and cats. And this is how it started. Mr. Manolis has retired now in the past 4 years due to health reasons. He was a little bit older in the age, and nothing would have happened without him. And this is, let's say, almost half of the story of the shelter, and the other half is the new generation of volunteers, interns, people that come from across Europe, our local team, which is a superstar team, that keep it going, and hopefully they will take the legacy and turn it into something beautiful, different, new, and let's hope we can have a country or an island at least with no strays.
And the beginning wouldn't have been possible without Manolis. He has dedicated most of his life to doing something with animals, and starting with cats, going to dogs, and it is his legacy and his life work, and he has earned his retirement more than most of us. But yeah, the new generation has worked hard to keep up the legacy and to create something on top of it. So of course, a shelter's end goal should always be to shut down. Not because we want to end it, but because we want the issue to go away. So that's what we should be working towards. And since I came, when I came, it was just about 70 dogs, I think. The ground was all ground. There was no concrete, very few kennels, mostly dogs in chains.
Yes.
and that was all we could do at that point. It wasn't that anyone wanted to keep them in chains, it's just we didn't have any other options. And once we started to organize a bit, we started to get more support from abroad and from followers. We could change things. So slowly during the past
5 years? No.
8 years,
8 years, sorry.
9, 10, something around then, we started to do things more organizedly. We started to take photos of all the animals that come in, started to update everyone on what's happening, started to have different revenues for donations, for example, which was not possible before unless you visited the shelter. And then, of course, we started to make enhancement to the shelter to make sure that the animals are well taken care of. We started to pay more attention to nutrition needs, especially when it's an animal that needs to heal or sick animal, old puppy, whatever. We try to, from a situation where we had every animal at the shelter and we barely had enough food to give everyone, not to mention the
Now-
strays.
And now we are in a point where they just sneeze and they go to the vet immediately.
Yes.
Which has very high cost, but at least like
They're healthy.
they are healthy, or if they are not healthy, they are being treated.
Yes.
Like we
Puppies-
have daily visits at the vets, which
Yes.
is crazy.
But it's needed because the animals that we have are in need of that. So it's not that they live in a home environment and
No.
everything is in that sense perfect. Of course, home environment doesn't automatically mean perfect, but for a shelter, it's doing the best it can. It's much better now. It goes forward every year. We have all the puppies in foster homes until they are fully vaccinated. We try very hard to make sure we don't have parvo or canine distemper outbreaks. We do a lot of steps to maintain cleanliness, and it's not easy with more than 200 animals.
Way more. If we add up together the cats and the dogs, of course, and the fosters, and yes, it's a lot of animals.
Yeah.
We even try like a big problem in shelters and also in homes all over Europe is Giardia, which is a parasite. We also don't treat them, of course, for an internal parasite and external parasites. They all get annual vaccinations on time. We try to keep up the sterilizations, of course, inside the shelter and outside at the streets. It's a lot going on daily, a lot.
And going forward all the time, and that's what we hope with the new project, when we can build a new shelter, that it's even better, even easier to maintain a clean and hygienic environment, and that we can use some of the time that we have to use a lot of resources and time at the moment to keep everything clean and well maintained. So we hope that with a little bit better construction and materials and stuff like that, we can minimize that work a bit more and concentrate on helping part a bit more than just running the shelter.
Yes. Okay, another question. Have you been able to make any progress towards the new shelter? How is it going? That's a $1,000,000 question.
I can answer parts of it. So conversations are still ongoing. We don't have everything settled down. There has been some big changes, which is always expected.
Can
when
we start
have
with the fact? Maybe not many people know. The
Go
fact
ahead.
is that the ex-American military base doesn't belong to the state anymore. It was sold to a private company, and actually like 2 weeks ago it was sold to another private company. So it's changing hands all the time, and the idea for that place from the investors is to create hotels and casinos. So the shelter needs to move. We cannot stay where we are. That's the fact. Now, what we do about it and what is our plan, Nora can explain more.
Yeah, so we have a plan to start a project to basically get rid of the stray issue, not in a humane way again. So creating a new shelter, but also creating a place for any individual or animal welfare group to use vet services or different kind of facilities we could build. Of course, this takes a lot of money, but it's also a way to actually start changing things. So having educational programs, having very organized DNR programs, having the facilities that can help with emergencies during nights or weekends, for example, when most clinics are closed, and doing the outreach not only to schools but also to any age group, any community, and starting to really create a movement towards a better understanding of animal needs and welfare. And right now we are on the planning side still, since it's unclear what part each company will play in it.
Yes, and
And-
how, what the part of the state will be, the municipality will be in it, what will our part be in it. So, for example, from our part, we have a full plan thanks to Nora. Everything on our minds is set on what needs to be done to change the situation drastically. We don't want to carry on having a shelter till the end of our days with the same conditions. So we need to create a shelter that's necessary now because we already have so many animals that we cannot just throw at the streets, and the need to take in and help is still big. But this, we don't dream of another shelter. We dream of a center that can educate, sterilize, take care, offer, be open to society so minds can change. So hopefully at some point this can transform to a shelter like in Europe, for example, with very, very few animals in the future, but the education and the sterilization and all of that to be going on.
And to help owned animals as well. So when you have financial situations that are difficult and when you would like to take good care of your animal but you just can't, a place where we can provide different kind of help to again promote
not of
better
course
welfare.
not to every individual.
No.
Owners should be able to take care of
Yes.
the animals, but if it's someone with very low income, for example, in cases like that, or there is a disease going on, yes, in those cases. So yes, the plans are complicated, but they are there. So we just need to figure out the other parts of the cooperation, big cooperation, because unfortunately we are not millionaires. Otherwise, this would be done already. Yes,
And that's the biggest
we need
thing.
help. That's our
Yes.
biggest thing. The plan is here. We have it ready. We are looking for land, and we just need to see who can help us.
Yeah, we
fix
have
this.
the people who are capable of doing it. We
Yes.
might have the land as well if we agree on it, but we really want the municipality to be part of it. We really want the government to be part of it. We want to do it in collaboration with everyone. We hope that our previous agreements with company sponsors are still ongoing and will continue in the future. We just need to check few
Yes.
things, have negotiations, but for sure we are gonna need the help of all of you as well.
Our main wish is also to collaborate with as many volunteers, animal welfare organizations, and shelters on the island to begin with. Like, we are very, very happy to be having excellent relationship with every other shelter. We have very close cooperation already with George's Stray Dogs. We are in contact with Taki Shelter, who is the biggest shelter in Crete, of course, and at the other side of the island with Suda Shelter, and also individual rescuers, people who have in their backyards like mini shelters, not people who are abusers or anything like that. There are so many individuals that are not known because they don't have a page or something that are helping animals, fosters. We want to be one as much as possible, everyone keeping their individuality, of course, and what they do best, and just cooperate everyone together to do as much as possible with the best possible way.
And that's what's needed in order to reach the goal. And we hope that not just organizations and individuals that care for the animals will join. We hope that local companies will join, local individuals will join that might not be able to foster or be heavily
Yes.
involved with the animal welfare world. So we really want to make it like a regional effort towards the same goal.
And there is this great question that I'd like to go to first and then answer that one. It says, how much money do you need every month to run the shelter? You will not believe it. So I don't know, do you want to start? Maybe it's a lot of money. We just want you first to think, if you have already an animal at home, how much it costs you to keep just one or two or three pets, and then to make that scale very, 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 very big. And maybe make some calculations. Okay, Nora maybe can reply to that. It stresses me out.
It is extremely stressful. The fact is that we have more than 200 animals at our care. Even if you don't see them at the shelter, we take care of them at the streets, we take care of them at the fosters. And most of the fosters that we have are not rich people or people who have good incomes or who could foster without our help. So they are giving their time and effort for free, and we are covering the food. On top of that, we have to remember that it's an island where there are a lot of ticks, a lot of parasites. So the need for example, deworming is much greater than what it is in the Nordics or in West Europe, for example. On top of that, the one thing that kind of helps is that the vet costs are lower than in some other European countries. But if you calculate your vet costs and maybe half them per year and then multiply that with 300, plus all the emergencies, all the very crazy situations and the cases where most would give up.
Yes.
And that's what we don't do. We only give up if it's best for the animal. If they are
Yes.
suffering, there is no hope, and it is the humane thing to do. And
Yes.
we really cannot do anything else. We have tried everything, but the vets work with us very much. They put their all in saving the animals, and they try to give us lower prices. They try to help us out as well. So it's an effort from every side. We try to get good food, because if we buy the cheapest one, it doesn't really help. We would need double amount of that in order to keep the nutritional needs met. On top of that, we have puppies, we have kittens, we have sick animals,
Cats, a lot of adult cats with a lot of issues, many injuries.
old
In the
animals.
old animals in 2024, let's say, we had a record amount of bone surgeries, orthopedic surgeries. Like
Yes.
we must have done at least 15, which have minimum cost of 500 euros, which probably in another country in Europe that would be 3,000 euros, but still for us,
It's a huge amount.
it could be like 10,000 euros just orthopedic surgeries.
And we have a lot of energetic dogs, and of course in the shelter they don't get as much kind of relaxation than they would get in a home environment. Of course they don't, you can think about it like they don't get that much walks either, but that doesn't mean they don't run in their den or in their kennel or in the playground. So the amount of energy they use while being excited is quite high, so the energy need is also higher, so the amount of food that they need at the
Is
shelter is much higher than in a
Yes.
regular home.
And it's more difficult to put on weight because of the mental stimulation and the physical activity all day long. And thankfully that has improved. I mean, the mental part, we try to help them more. The visitors help a lot with that, so we have daily walks. Let's say for a shelter, it's quite good at the moment because every dog at the shelter gets maybe 2 or 3 walks per week, which is much better than in the past. But still, it would be better if they are in their own home.
Yes, and now the numbers. Also, I would like to remind everyone that the shelter does not take any money from adoptions. It is illegal in Greece to take money from stray dogs, which means that when someone adopts a dog, they will pay the veterinary things to the vet. They can also pay it to us and we pay it to the vet, but it always is just the amount that is used for the vet.
Yes, the transportation costs if it's somewhere outside of Greece, basic costs like microchipping and
These are the
passport
vet
and
costs.
vaccination. Yeah, vet costs
Yes.
and transportation costs.
So nothing comes to us, we will never take anything. If someone is willing to donate after adoption, we are of course happy, but that is in no way needed or asked. So it needs to come from someone's own initiative.
Yes, but also to add to that, when there are organizations from abroad that are helping us and they are legal organizations and we work with few of them in countries like Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, Finland, we are so grateful for their help. In those cases and in those countries, the adoption fee is legal, so when they are taking a fee from an adopter, then that goes straight to the vets. They are covering food, big piles of food that are coming to the shelter. So please don't be scared. When you're working with people that work with us, and you can send us a message and we can tell you who are those people, then be sure that the money comes to the shelter in different forms. Food, medicine, sterilizations, they cover so much for us.
And in most cases, the organizations we work with also have emergency fund. If something happens to an animal in that country, they can help it with the vet cost, they can help pay for a dog
a part
hotel
at
or
least.
whatever needed.
Yes.
So we are very grateful for that.
Yes.
And that's why we would prefer to do adoptions through organizations, because then there is a safety net
Yes.
that most that just isn't there when we do individual adoptions.
Yes.
So although the price in a sense is higher, it's more secure. And it does give us peace of mind, plus the money does come to the shelter, so it's always to benefit the shelter animals in the end.
And now to the adoption, because we have a question.
We answered nothing about the money, we just
Yes, we didn't give amounts.
Yeah. The amount is about 20,000 per month, and
We don't have that. Just to
no,
give you an idea,
we
we don't get 20,000
No.
euros worth of donations per month. In the very, very best, we don't have even half of that per month, which
Yes.
means we are piling up debt, but because we are trying to be very, very decent people, we pay off part of our debts to the vets or the pet shop that gives us the food, and then we increase it again, lower it, increase it, lower it, increase it, and it goes like that, which is causing me and Nora and all the other individuals at the shelter a lot of stress.
Because the animals they are our responsibility.
Yes.
Until the end, and unless we can provide for them, they're not gonna have a life worth living. And we cannot abandon anyone to the streets, we will never do that. So in most situations we help out ourselves, we try to come up with a way, we negotiate to postpone payments.
Yes.
And we try to have these bigger fundraisers so we could get it down a bit at least.
Yes.
But yeah, there has never been a month where we met our costs.
And also big donations of food help, because
Yes.
at least for a little while the debt doesn't increase, so whatever donation comes in can go into lowering.
Yes.
So yes, we have had some generous offers from either companies sometimes or the organizations from Europe that help. That is huge, huge help. And right now there is a program for sterilizations, and we have the help of the organization Tested Up Pfoten from Germany and Gemeinsam for Strainer, from Switzerland, and Denmark for sterilization of animals in the shelter. We have non-stop help for the cats from the organization Gemeinsam für Gouves Katzen from Germany. And yes, thank you to all of those organizations, also from Finland and Netherlands in the past. Yes.
We couldn't do it without
No.
the help.
No. About adoptions then.
Yes.
If people can adopt in the United States, well, we have done that too. Is it easy? No. But we have had like 3 adoptions in the United States in the time that I'm in the shelter, all very, very with happy endings. The dogs are still alive and thriving, and it's a very complicated and very costly process. If someone completely falls in love with a dog, yes, it can happen, but it's very difficult, and it might cost like thousands of dollars or euros. And in that sense, since states have already their own issue with animals in shelters and highly killed shelters, maybe it's better to adopt locally and maybe donate to a shelter in Greece or wherever else you want. But not that we will stand in the way if it's a very, very good family.
And on the logistical part, there are a few ways. So there is the cargo part, which is extremely costly. There is also the possibility of traveling with the owner if the flights allow animals, in which case the travel cost can be a bit lower.
Yes.
But it depends on the airline, it depends on regulations on different states in the US. And yeah, it's not simple, but it's doable.
Yes, but to make it more general, we have a lot of adoptions around Europe. In many
Yes.
European countries, this is basically the biggest percentage of our adoptions, to be honest. Lately, we have had some very nice adoptions in Greece, in Crete, which I'm very happy about. We didn't have that as much in the past because we were very picky. We are still very picky about the people that will adopt. Now, on one hand, someone can say, well, you have so many animals. Well, yes, we don't want to see them back in the shelter in a week. We don't want to see them back at the streets, so we are a bit more difficult to adopt from. And difficult, I mean, I think our fellow Europeans would understand these are just standards of
We
adoptions.
are careful with it.
We are
We
careful.
have standards, and it's
Yes.
not that we never think that adopting out of pity is a good thing.
No.
You don't adopt because you pity them, you don't adopt because they look cute. you adopt because that personality matches. Of course, with puppies, it's a bit more difficult to say what they will be like as adults, and of course, the family always has a huge impact on how the dog grows. But in general, we tend to be very careful to match the personality with the family and with the living conditions, so that the adoption is successful. And our success rate is quite high. It's on the 98%, I believe. So there are very few failed adoptions.
Well, there are. They cause
Yes,
a
there
lot of
always
stress,
are.
but we try to be more and more and more and more careful. And it doesn't mean that people will abuse their animal.
No.
I don't think we ever had a case like that. But it means that if they don't match, it might fail, and then there is this stress of rehoming, resettling the animal. Like it's a difficult process. So we try to avoid that and have good adoptions. But within the European Union, European countries, it's quite easy. We know the process, and they are hopefully having more and more adoptions in great homes.
Yes.
And also I would like to take a few moments to speak and give a shout out to the Greek team of the shelter. They have not been mentioned really in the video, but they are the beating heart of the shelter. They are the people you will see most likely if you visit, not so much the two of us, but them. They are absolutely amazing. It was very, very hard to find those amazing people. It took many years, a lot of search, true animal lovers from the heart that go way and beyond working hours or normalcy. They have turned their lives completely upside down for the animals, and we are now trying all together to return some normalcy in their lives and also help the animals with better ways, better methods, because we have seen by running a shelter that just running a shelter doesn't solve the problem. We will still be doing that, but we won't change.
And the whole team is dedicated to do that.
Yes.
And they are absolutely amazing with it. We try to work hard to make sure they have personal lives as well, because it's very easy to get sucked in for
Yes.
all of us.
All
it's
of us.
it's
We
difficult.
have all been there.
Yes.
And maybe some of us are still very, very, very deep into that, but we're trying to catch our breath.
And that's needed in order to keep going, because if you burn out, it's gonna be a long recovery.
Yes, and I think in shelters, animal caretakers are in very high percentages of burnout because of all the sad stories and the heartache that they go through, and it's for visitors usually a happy place to visit. For us as well, because the team is good and they try to help each other out, but it can also be a very, very sad, very emotional, or very frustrating place, not because of the animals at all, but because of the human behaviors we encounter more than often.
And the situations with the animals too, when there is a case you can't help, when there is an animal you
yes.
get attached to, even the happy moments when you always get attached to different animals different way, and when your favorite leaves, you know it's going to a great home, it's gonna have an amazing life, an amazing family. It still hurts to depart, because that's the last time you see that animal. It might be the puppy that you bottle fed, or the kitten that you bottle fed. You took care of them when they had parvo. You looked after them at the vet. You did everything humanly possible to keep that animal alive, and you have such a great bond with them. And then when the time to have the goodbyes comes, it's difficult, even though it's a happy ending or happy new life.
But that's at least happy, because
Yes.
we unfortunately have the animals that pass away in our hands, and this is just devastating. And we try to have as few as possible, but it happens, unfortunately.
And I think that's even more difficult after we see so many animals in happy lives.
Yes.
So we can imagine that for every single individual.
Yes.
And then when we cannot provide that, for
Yes.
whatever reason, it's
Especially like for dogs that have stayed also, or cats, very long in the shelter, and they don't have behavior issues, like they have just been overlooked. This is what breaks our hearts completely.
it's a life wasted.
Yes, life wasted, exactly. And they don't have that much.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a happy note.
Okay, we can wrap things up, I think.
Yes.
Let's see if anyone would want to watch this video. It's quite long.
Way too long. I'm gonna cut half of it. Okay, let's see if we ever do one of these again. Maybe, maybe not.
If
Probably not.
you find it interesting,
We are always happy to answer any questions. We are an open book on that sense. If you have any more questions, please do send them. You can comment them on this video. You can send us PM, whatever.
yes.
And yeah, we
Also, if you want shorter answers, write that down in the comments.
yeah, stop rambling, people. Just yes,
We
no.
both talk a lot,
Way too much.
way too much.
Yes.
We will get better at that. We are millennials.
I'm not making that promise. So, with that note,
With that note, please help. please, please, if you can spread the word and donate and visit, we would be glad to meet you. And we try our best. We'll keep you updated.